Okay, now say something.
Now do you got me?
I got you now,
Yes,
thanks.
okay, perfect. All right, so basically, I was hoping that someone from the Gage County Foundation would be able to jump on, but it doesn't look like they're going to be able to. So Big Give Gage this past year, and then again this year is sort of put on by the Gage County Foundation, and I just do some of the legwork for them. And there's really no difference again this year. Everything that we're doing is basically backed by the Gage County Foundation. So I was hoping I could introduce you to some of them, but you'll meet them through this process one way or the other, I'm sure, if you don't know them. So Big Give Gage, you participated, I think, last year. If you didn't participate last year, welcome to the Big Give this year. We are scheduled again September 10th, so the same day as last year, the same date. This year it falls on a Thursday instead of I think last year it was a Tuesday? It was a Tuesday. So this year it's on a Thursday. September 10th, we're 7 weeks or something like that out, so it's coming up really quick. The purpose of this meeting is just to kind of give you all up to speed. Any questions you might have. I can screen share if you are able to see the screen so that I can walk you through like how to log in, how to load pictures, how to update your profiles on the Big Give. So if that's a question, we can walk through that. The Big Give Gage website is live now, so really anybody can see it. The reason I wanted to call this meeting now is that tomorrow I am going on Quibi for a variety of reasons, but one of them is to talk about the Big Give. We're going to actively start promoting the Big Give out tomorrow. As a hospital foundation, we have already started putting some messaging out on our website and on our Facebook page. So some of our donors are kind of aware that it's happening again this year. Starting on August 1st, the billboard, if you guys remember the billboard that was on the highway coming into Beatrice from Lincoln, it's actually the hospital billboard. It's this really big double billboard that's like lit up at night. That'll be a Big Give Gage one again. The image that we're using is the exact same image as last year. It's happening at the top and then the Big Give logo. We just added a little kind of a graffiti graphic that it's happening again at the bottom. So it's just kind of a play on that idea that we're doing this another time. And we really did that because so many people kept asking me, is it going to happen again? And so I figured we might as well just make that the marketing. It's happening again. So that'll go up August 1st and it'll stay up until October 1st. That's just the way we have to run it. So once that goes up, you'll start to see a little bit more information and interest. And then if you guys remember last year, we did about a 7,500 postcard mailing to Gage County addresses. Very basic, just Big Give Gage logo and kind of what it is on the back. We're going to up that this year, so we're going to do about 10,000 of those out to just blanket as much of Gage County as we can. And those will go out middle of August. We'll also have those yard signs again. So if you guys remember last year, we gave each organization 2 yard signs. This year, we're going to order a few more in the hopes that we can distribute a few more of those. And you guys can place those anywhere within the county. So if you want to put them in your own yard, in your organization's yard, in your best friend's yard, doesn't really matter. As long as it's approved, don't put them in public spaces unless the city tells you you can put them in public spaces, please. And then I'll go on the radio again August 26th, and that'll be fully focused on Big Give. So if any of you are interested in being on the radio with me again, that'll be more focused on the breadth of nonprofit orgs. So if you want to give me a story that you want me to tell on the radio, or if you just want to come on with me, I think we can have 4 people on at a time. So we'll have to put all the names in a bucket if there's a lot of people who want to go with me, and then we'll pull it out. I did send out that checklist for participation. That's really just a guideline for you guys. I think it goes week by week if you saw it attached to your email. 7 weeks out, it really is just getting your project put together. And then just week after week, it kind of tells you how many Facebook posts you should be doing, how much you should be pushing it out. And that's a really good guideline just to keep it. I know we're all super busy. So just to keep it like next to your computer and just kind of check it off. Okay, did I do this stuff this week? And then you'll be good to go. There is a Gage County Foundation Facebook, and they'll start doing posts on that probably weekly, starting August 1st. And then as we get closer, they'll start doing them more than 2 or 3 times a week just to get on people's radar. I think that covers it as far as promotion. We'll also do some radio or some newspaper articles, not advertisements probably, but articles. So I'll do some press releases that I'll send out. I'll reach out to the Lincoln side as well. So like the Lincoln newspaper, and then we were on Pure Nebraska last year. I'll reach out to them again and see if we can get on to those again. So from a big give perspective, I feel like I'm tackling all of the promotion. Really what you guys have to do is just market it out to your donor base. So start using those big give logos, and you can find the big logos on the website under the toolkits tab. There's all kinds of logos and save the dates. Use those and put your logo right next to them or underneath them and start just pushing it out however you want to promote it within your organization. If you participated last year, you would have gotten your donor list from last year. So if you want to reach out to those people particularly, you should still have access to those donor lists in the Big Give. If not, I can find them for you and send them out to you. And then of course, reaching out to new people is a good idea as well. Do you guys have any questions about any of that? Nothing?
Tina, this is Brenda Davis. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there still going to be an on-site event at the Vintage venue, or is that not happening?
Yeah, so that's kind of what we need to discuss as a group. That's the big question mark for everybody, right? Is how much we can do in person versus online. So the great thing about the big gives and giving days in general, which go, all over the state and the nation, is that they are very digitally focused. So we have this really great digital platform that we can use. Our community really responded to last year was that in-person giving, that nonprofit fair at Vintage Venue, the whole food truck situation. We had really great participation. I am very nervous about encouraging large groups of people to come together like that. I just don't know. Honestly, I don't know where we'll stand 7 weeks from now in terms of mandates and that kind of thing. And it's a lot easier to just not get too deep into the weeds and then have to cancel everything and pull it back. What I will say is that maybe gives us an opportunity to do some smaller events as organizations. So if your organization wants to do a little like mixer with your donors, or if you want to partner with another organization, I know Hope Crisis always does something like a sip and donate, something like that. So if we want to try to partner together, I just hesitate and I worry about promoting one big event, but I am completely open for discussion on that. So if any of you have thoughts or comments, I would love to hear them.
I guess here's one quick thought. And last year, I think one other reason the in-person was so popular was that this was the first time the event went on. And there was always, there's always some concern of, well, is this legitimate? Am I finding the right website? And all of that type of stuff. And hopefully, now that people have had a chance to see it for a full year, maybe potentially given once, there might be more level of comfort in interacting with us digitally, especially in a year like this. Because you're right, Gina. I mean, we are already making changes to some of our events we had scheduled for late September, and it's just not looking from a community standpoint like the best idea to hold larger events in the next 2, 3, 4 months.
I would say about that, if I can say it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Is that was also a chance for a lot of us to see each other. And I think there were people who were not aware of other groups. So there was that kind of camaraderie about one group to another. Now we know we're out there. And if you do some sort of, you are able to do something at the end like you did, that would still pick up on that, people getting to see other people. And otherwise, again, it's a weird year, and we all know this is not like any other, and I don't think we should try to expect that the things we would ordinarily do are things we're going to do this year.
I agree. Is there anyone? And if you don't want
I
to,
agree as well. Just thank you for addressing that.
yes.
Jana, I would agree with that as well.
Okay. So I think the conversation that I plan to have, so the Gage County Foundation meets July 31st. And I wanted this group to meet first so that I could kind of give them the group thoughts around sort of how much we wanted to push on and how much we didn't. I do think mini events might be fun, once again, for that camaraderie. So if there's like a couple groups who want to come together and do a outdoor picnic, or I don't know, something, we could probably start to organize those. I just think we'll have to do them in smaller chunks. So I realize that puts a lot more of the work on you guys. Last year I kind of organized it all and brought everybody together, so there's just going to be a little bit, but I am completely willing to help with anything that you guys need. So if it's connecting with each other, if it's finding a venue, or if it's figuring out some idea on what to do, I'm more than willing to help with those. If you get to a point where you're stuck. But yeah, I think what I will do is keep just pushing the digital space aspect of it, especially that particular day. The other part that I think as nonprofit leaders we need to be aware of is that a lot of the in-person giving was done because people were very sensitive to those credit card fees, and people did not want to pay credit card fees, and they knew if they brought a check in, they wouldn't have to pay a fee. Last year, the Gage County Foundation ended up paying those credit card fees. So whatever fees weren't paid by the donor on their end, the Gage County Foundation absorbed. I'm going to ask them to do that again this year. So you'll be able to confidently tell your donors they won't have to pay fees, even if they pay with credit cards, which might help that giving once again. So that, you know, if it comes down to I think it's like a 2% fee that a donor would have to pay. If we can get the Gage County Foundation to agree, you donors, it's not an issue for you as a nonprofit. I will follow up with you on that. I can be pretty persuasive though, so I'm pretty confident that we can get them to do that part. Was there any other thoughts about last year that you guys really liked, or last year that was kind of difficult or frustrating to you? No?
This is Carmen. I think this might be a moot point if we're not going to do the large event on the day of Big Give. But I think we had, like some of our feedback was the space and time between the actual event during the day and then the happy hour in the evening for those entities that were sticking around for that. Just because not all of us are local. I mean, obviously we have local programs in Gage County, but some of us don't live locally. So just that space in between, and maybe the success of even more entities sticking around for the happy hour, should that all be hosted for a big event. But again, it's mute for this year if we're not going to plan on having something like that. I just know that was something that we had talked about as an organization.
Okay.
I know that there was also people that showed up for the happy hour, and maybe you've received this feedback too, is that they showed up for the happy hour thinking that they were going to see the entities, the tables and stuff, and we had already, you know, everybody had already torn down at that point. So again, kind of mute if we're not having it, but maybe notes for year number 3 if we.
Yeah. Oh, we're doing it again.
No.
I'll try to come up with a more creative than just it's happening again next year. Was there anything else? The website to me feels pretty user friendly. I do know there were some groups who have a hard time navigating it on the back end. once again, I'm willing to help you kind of troubleshoot some of those if you need to. Is there any feedback from the website point of view that you would like to, can relay back to the developer? Anything that glitchy that you don't like? No?
Gina, I haven't specifically worked. A couple of our staff have done some of the background work on the website for us. I know that, and I think this was voiced last year, getting pictures and stuff in there, and it's more of a formatting thing. And I'm sure that that is just the, you know, the forum of the website. So maybe there's not a lot that can be done, but I know that my staff that updated our pictures and stuff this year said it took her over 2.5 hours to get pictures in and formatting right so that it looked good and things like that. So I could certainly get you some more feedback, specifics from her regarding that. But I know that's a struggle, and it was last year as well. But again, worked through it, so no biggie.
Okay. Yeah, the parameters for photos is very, very specific. And it does feel a little bit weird, like you put your logo versus where you put your project photo and how those things show up. And so it does feel a little bit strange the first time you're doing it. But the good news is you said it the one time and you really shouldn't have to update it again. So that's kind of nice. And it seems like a few people have gotten on and updated. I know Hope Crisis has done it. And I think some of the newer organizations have updated their pages, but the bulk of us have not done it yet. And I include us because the hospital has not done ours yet either. It's just not, it's just not something I've done yet, but I'm going to. So I do think if we're starting to promote this on August 1st, we probably all really need to get our pages, because if we start putting it out on the radio and in billboards and in the newspaper, people are going to start going to that website. And right now, it doesn't look like our goal is very high because most of our goals are at $0 or $1,000. And we also don't really have any 2020 projects. They're the 2019 expired projects that are in there. So if anybody on this call gets a chance in the next, 10 to 15 days, I would say try and get your projects updated. That's my goal from the hospital as well, to get them updated so that we can have something for donors to look at so it doesn't just look really dated. New nonprofits will be able to sign up until probably the middle of August, around August 15th or so, and then I'll take that away so that those pages start to just look very static and normal, and there's not new people popping up and old people going off. So you'll be able to update your page just like last year. You'll be able to make changes and updates to your page in probably September 1st or so. And then we'll stop it so that those projects don't change significantly. And one day a donor looks at it and you have a $5,000 goal, and then the next day it's a $50,000 goal, and they're confused about why that's fluctuating. So, are there any other thoughts from you guys on anything particular?
I'm wanted to inquire about, and maybe this information isn't out to everyone because I know that I communicated with you in an email regarding the you being in contact with Production Creek and what that looks like. Can you tell me more about that? Is that just agency logos, or what can those t-shirts look like? We had actually designed some t-shirts for our agency last year, and as you know, we sold those prior to and leading up to the event. And so I'm curious what that looks like at Production Creek, and then all of those proceeds go to the Big Give Gage, and then if they say select Hope Crisis Center, that goes into the Hope Crisis Center pot and they get the cut. Like, can you go over that a little?
Yes. So for those of you that are not completely sure what Carmen's talking about, so Production Creek for Support Local, for like our chamber, the local here in the Lincoln Chamber, they allowed businesses to create these cool t-shirts. And when people went onto the website and bought these t-shirts, Production Creek split the proceeds and donated half of that to the business, and then Production Creek kept the other half. they're willing to do that for us for the Big Give as well. So we're calling it our communities program because I love communities. I don't know. So we're doing this communities program. So basically any nonprofit who is registered with the Big Give will be able to put your logo on a t-shirt. If a donor goes on to Production Creek and purchases your t-shirt, she will split the proceeds half and half of your t-shirt sales will go directly to your nonprofit. So it'll funnel through the Big Give, but it'll go to you. Her suggested price for those t-shirts is $20. So basically you'll be getting $10 from the sale of each of your t-shirts. The Hospital Foundation hopefully is going to do face masks instead of t-shirts. I have told Jessica at Production Creek that we will try and have each nonprofit make their own logo, although she is very particular about making sure they turn out well. So you might have to have a conversation with her to get the logo up to standards of printing. The great thing about this project is that you don't have to, she doesn't print them ahead of time. So basically on the website, it looks like you can buy a BCH logo t-shirt, and then if somebody orders it, she prints it and gives it to them instead of making like 100 larges and 100 mediums and 100 smalls. So it's a better way of processing shirts. So you don't have to pay for the t-shirts up front. Really, it's just a matter of her putting the design on there. If people order them, you'll get half of the proceeds from that. I'm still kind of working through the details with Jessica on how she wants to get those logos and how she wants to set up the website. There will be a direct link from the Big Give website to the Production Creek website, so people can just go directly there. There will be lag time. We won't know, it's going to be harder for us to know how much your nonprofit specifically makes off of those t-shirts. I have access to all of the back end of the Big Give. I won't see those t-shirts until probably a ways after the Big Give. So that's going to be a little bit more delayed in terms of getting you your proceeds. But she's been very, very open to it and she's very excited. So I'll keep working through the details with her on how to get logos to them and how to make sure that they're print ready, and then how she delivers those to people and what the process is. And then I'll put it out in an email to the group here.
Okay. Okay. So if we because we are talking about wanting to stick with something similar to what we did last year for ours. So I'm sure there's some parameters that she will be creating around that. Like, can we work with her on our own design? And is it possible to have a backside as well or not?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
that we might have to ask her because I'm sure it gets more expensive to print front and back.
Absolutely.
And we will have just a plain Big Give Gage one, and those funds will go to the Gage County Foundation and be used as matching funds for the event.
Gotcha.
If people just buy basic Big Give Gage t-shirts, those will be used for matching funds. But if you buy your specific t-shirt, those funds go to you or to the Humane Society or whoever the t-shirts are made for.
And do you
I'll be touching base with Jessica, and then I'll roll it out a little bit more formally once we have some of the T's crossed and the I's dotted.
Okay, great. And are you opposed to us? Well, never mind. I'll just wait till we hear more from you. So
Okay.
we're just getting anxious to get things going.
I know. And I love it. So last year at this time, we had probably been promoting for almost 4 weeks, but it's because it was the first year and people didn't really know what we were doing. So I felt like we needed a little bit more of a runway. With everything going on, I wanted to shorten the runway a little bit so that we weren't getting lost in the fold of everybody else and their things. So we are a little bit behind on promotion than we were last year, but that's more by design than by anything. So I feel like we still have a little bit of time. Of course, depending on what happens with schools, that might steal some of our thunder with this as well, because everybody's got multiple balls in the air and everyone's trying to juggle so many things. So I think we'll be fine. We just need to keep very focused on promotion. So what else do you guys have for me? Any discussion points, concern points, things that you love or hate that you want me to talk about?
I have a question, Gina.
Yeah.
It's Terry Sue. Are you expecting the same amount in matching funds this year or more, or could you just talk about that?
Yeah, so I I've kind of budgeted around the same amount of matching funds as we had last year. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes up a little bit, but just the financially prudent side of me says to just keep the budget where it was. So we had about $17,000 in matching funds and another $2,000 in hourly prize money. I'm assuming it'll be right around the same amount. We sent the same amount of sponsorship letters out, and we've gotten some pretty good response so far from those. And we'll do some reminders on those as well. So from a perspective, like a statewide perspective, these giving days have sort of increased this year. I think a lot of donors see the value in supporting something and know that by this time last year, they would have attended 7 nonprofit fundraisers and they haven't attended anything. So many of them are kind of open to that idea of knowing nonprofits are in a really difficult spot this year, as is everyone, as are businesses, as is everyone, but nonprofits seem to be a little bit disproportionately affected because we haven't been able to do what we usually do, which is get in front of people, have events, parties, meet with people. And so I think people are sensitive to that. So last year we raised, with the matching funds, we raised about $172,000 for distribution. I'm going to push that up to about $200,000. A lot of that is dictated by you guys and what you set your goals at. That's really where our ultimate goal comes from. I'm hopeful that many of you who participated last year have a little bit better idea of kind of what your base looks like and how much you think you can. Last year we were all kind of guessing, right? Like just throwing darts at the dartboard and hoping something stuck. So this year I think we'll have a better idea of kind of what our donors want to support and how much they're willing to support this particular event. So I think we'll have, I would be surprised if we didn't make that $200,000 mark as an entire, event. And then each one of our organizations being prudent with how we set our goals, for sure.
Nina, since we're talking about money, assuming that money does come in and we have some sort of presentation opportunity, however you set that up, could you make it clear when it really begins? I showed up and discovered that a volunteer had to accept the check for the Library Foundation because I assumed that it didn't start the minute that you'd announced it. So this year, could you make it really clear when we're supposed to show up so we get there to have the appropriate people standing there accepting the check?
Yeah. Yep, I can do it.
The other thing that maybe might be helpful, especially if we go to digital, I know last year, and it was the first year, so rightfully so, just, a little bit of confusion in, again, generating those dollars to Big Give Gage as a whole, yet each entity, whoever they're giving to, what that looks like. And then if we are going to do digital events, again, that process of how do people give so that we ensure that the total is going to Big Give Gage and then out to the designated entity.
Right. And that's you're right. That was a really big, well, not a really big, but that was a frustration point for some people. The checks, if you want them to count towards your Big Give total, the checks need to be made out to either Big Give Gage or the Gage County Foundation. You will get 100% of that money back. But if they make the check out directly to your organization, that can't get counted into that total, which means it doesn't get counted into the matching portion of the funds as well. So anything that you want to go toward this particular campaign, those checks, if there are personal checks or business checks or sponsorship checks, those need to go to either the Big Give Gage or the Gage County Foundation. And we have very, very strict accounting. So everything that you bring to us will get turned right over to you. It just gets funneled through so that it counts towards the total and you get the percentage matching points from those sponsors.
Thank you.
And I think, once again, the growing pains last year, that wasn't clearly on our website that checks should be made to the Big Give Gage because the website is so geared towards online gifts. And there's not an issue with online gifts. It knows where to go automatically. So we weren't thinking about checks the way we should have. So it's very clear on our FAQ page now, Big Give Gage, that checks should be made to one of those two places.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
That was some of our growing pain. And now this year I was like, oh my God, we didn't write very good notes. Like I need to worry about this. So thank you.
Yes, for sure. And I do think the day of, even if we don't have a big nonprofit party, we have enough community interest in sponsoring drop-off points. So we have a couple local vendors and banks who have said that they would support being a collection site for those day of gives. If there's a donor who wants to make a donation the day of and we don't have a big nonprofit fair or a happy hour, we'll be able to still collect those, and we'll communicate where those will be as it comes closer as well. All right. Is there anything else? Anything I can answer? I'm willing to, like I said, I'm willing to kind of share my screen and go through the logging on process and the developing your site process if that's something you need help with. But if it's not something you're struggling with, I don't want to make you guys sit through the tutorial again if you already have kind of covered it. We do have a couple new nonprofits this year, which is really exciting. So last year, total, we had 46 nonprofits. This year, we're up to 52 nonprofits. And once again, they're covering the vast majority of just about everything you could ever imagine a nonprofit doing. Some of those nonprofits from last year haven't completely renewed their website yet, so some of them might drop off, but we're going to hover around that 50 nonprofit mark again, which is good. All right, so is there any other thoughts, comments, concerns? We'll probably have another Zoom call when those signs come in and before the postcards go out, just so we can kind of touch base again. That's middle of August, so I have the postcards ideally hitting homes by August 14th, which I think is a Friday, and then I've asked the signs to get delivered at that same time, and I can distribute those to you. Hospital is a weird place right now, so I wouldn't encourage a ton of people to come and pick up your signs, but I can figure out places to meet you and drop them off, or we can swap signs places. So. Anything else for me?
If I would like to add a couple staff to email lists, can I provide you with those names?
Yes. Yep.
Because with the million COVID emails and everything, I am failing to sometimes pass stuff on, and I want my team to be dialed in. So I would love to add a couple contacts on the email list if I could.
Mm-hmm. Yep, just email them. Yeah, just email them to me. And that goes for anybody. I've had a couple nonprofits say that the person I have is like the executive director and they are just too swamped. And so I'm putting on board members and, other nonprofit people. And so I'm more than happy to add as many as you would like, just so it doesn't drop off anybody's radar. So are there people who want me to share my screen and go through the sign-in process, or is everybody set and ready? We just haven't done it yet. None of us have actually updated it, but we're ready to go with it. Does anybody need help or no? Here, I'm going to do it just in case, so that you can see what I see. All right, so can you see this screen here? My
Yes.
screen? Okay, so this is the Big Give Gage screen. If you're going to sign in for the first time, it's all the way down here at the bottom. It's this little hidden one, and it's hidden down there because we don't want donors to think they have to sign in. It's literally just for nonprofits. So it's not up here at the top because we don't want people to feel like they have to log in just to make a gift or just to look at nonprofits. Something I will share with you is on your nonprofit page. So I clicked on this little nonprofit thing right here. These are your thumbnails. So when you go to the back end and you start uploading pictures, the pictures here are what are considered your thumbnail pictures. These are not your, so you can see here, these are like your logo thumbnail pictures. And then here is where you're going to actually have your project pictures. So right in here in this spot is where you typically would have a picture uploaded. And I picked the railroad enthusiasts because they're new and because they don't have a logo put up yet. So I can go to the back end here really quick. Sorry, you guys don't all see this. I normally see. So like on the railroad enthusiasts site, when you go on this page here, which is what you would normally see, this organization page, when you upload this is your logo that's going to show up as your thumbnail. If you don't have anything here, you're going to show up like this without a logo, and then you're going to show up like this, and it's going to say your logo here. So it's pretty important to have those logos, even if you don't have a logo, like what the Adult and Teen Challenge has here. It's just a photo, but you definitely want something, otherwise it's going to show up this way. And some of our other new nonprofits have that as well. Down towards the bottom, here's one, your logo here. So you definitely want to make sure you get those updated, because if you don't, it's going to look a little bit strange. And then the part that Carmen and I were kind of talking about, the frustration with photos. So when you go to manage projects right here from your page, you'll be able to pick your year. So it's going to default to this year. You'll be able to put in your goal amount, put in your project name, and then this is where you do your videos and your photos. Your photos, this little red section here, this is exactly how large your photos have to be in pixel size. So this 700 by 380, if you try and do anything larger than 700 by 380 or smaller than 700 by 380, your images are going to look very, very strange and they're not going to fit. And so it's just a little bit of preparation before you start uploading your pictures, and then you'll be able to just choose them and plop them in. Not a lot of people have used videos, but if you do use videos, pay very attention once again to this red line here. You don't have to enter the full, if you upload a video to YouTube, you want to put it on your Big Give, you don't have to do the full HTTPS/YouTube. You just do this, just the video ID is all you have to upload, and then it'll upload fine. What else can I tell you about this? Right here, this toolkit, this is where you can go find logos, checklists, anything related to Big Give. You can, if you do create an event for this year, if you do a fundraising event or a networking event, send me an email and I can upload it here into this. So if you're going to do a kickoff event or you're going to do an outdoor event or something, tell me so that I can get it loaded here. So if people come up, they can see exactly what we have going on. I think that's it. This right here is what the billboard will look like. This again sign here off to the side is what our billboard is going to look like. As well as the postcards and the signs, the yard signs. This nonprofit sign up will go away, like I said, probably middle of August or so, and we'll kind of lock it down. People do have the ability to search you here by your alphabetical listing. They can search you down here based on category that you qualify as. I believe you can still only pick one category, so pick the one that defines you best. Don't believe you can do multiple categories at this time. So pick the one that makes the most sense for you when you're signing up. And then these will scroll through all the time. They'll scroll through all of our nonprofits consistently all of the time. So these aren't like featured nonprofits. These are just ones that pop up at random. And then down here, we will have sponsors updated as they come in through the matching program and the hourly program. And I think that's really the website in a nutshell. Is there any questions about any of that? Anything that I didn't cover? You can always reach out to me through email. You can also call me here at the office. I think all of my contact info is at the bottom of that Big Give page, bottom left of the Big Give page. My email, my phone number, I'm always here, always willing to help. So if there's anything that comes up, let me know. There are a couple pages, if you need some inspiration or you need some like if you have writer's block about something, you will be able to, I would say that you could probably look at some of the pages last year. I hate to keep pointing it out, but Carmen had a really great page, the Hope Crisis Center. Community Players had a really, really good page with their project last year. Who else had really good pages? I mean, and when I say really good, they were all really good, but they were really they were bullet point outed, they were formatted well, they had good pictures. Please do not underestimate the power of pictures. People love pictures. So if you have pictures of your organization, people in your organization, fun things that you're doing, pictures of babies and kittens. Everybody loves babies and kittens. Throw those pictures in there. People just respond kind of emotionally if you can give them a visual. So even if you're like, oh, I don't really have any pictures, find some stock pictures, find something that people can relate to. It'll make them linger on your page longer and probably read your project more, versus just clicking on it and being like, oh, it's just words. I'm gonna move right along. That's my advice. So, is there anything else? We have about, I don't know, 15, 13 minutes, something like that. If anybody has any comments or questions.
Gina.
Yeah.
Dana here, Dana Hyder here. I just happened to think, since it's on a Thursday, that's a farmer's market night. You might talk to Michael Sothen about having a table or something. I mean, that would at least give you a couple hours as a something outside, but where people are coming.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
So
That's a good idea.
think about it.
And I know Terry Sue and I have been talking about how we could make that work there at the market. So yeah, we've been thinking the same thing.
Oh, I thought you had jumped off, Michael. I'm sorry.
Well, that's but still good thoughts.
Yeah.
Yep, we're all in.
Yeah, and I think if you guys come up with any of that, I don't get to see all things and do all things, and I've apologized to Terry multiple times for not making it out to this farmer this year, but I'm coming. So if there's any place you're like, hey, we could use a sign, we have multiples of those tall, like A-frame signs. We'll have the yard. So if there's any place that you're like, hey, this is really high traffic, I think we just need a thing there. I have a thing I can put there. I don't know what it will look like, but it will be something. So as you guys are just kind of going around your business, or if you have a donor who has a business or a sponsor who has a business that says, hey, I'd pop one of those up in my window for you. We have stickers, we have signs, we have large signs, small signs. And so, yeah, we've got just about anything. And I'll go put them down. All right. Well, like I said, if you guys have any other thoughts, feel free to call me, email me. If you start getting into your website and it's just not like working the way you want, just give me a shout and I'll work through it with you. And yeah, let's see if we can get it all set up and done in the next 10 days so that we can get that website looking beautiful before people start logging on. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on. Like I said, if you have any questions, comments, I'll send you another email probably around the middle of August, again, just to answer any last minute questions or kind of figure out times to pick up signs and that kind of thing. And keep an eye out for that giant billboard popping up on August 1st.
Thank you, Gina.
Thank you guys. Have a good
Thank
night.
you, Gina.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.